Hello, my dudes. I am the Big Bad Evil GM, and this video here is to talk about my experience with tabletops and what few, little, whatever word you want to use, qualifications I have to talk about them. So, my story starts back in the summer of 2017. Yeah, 2017. When a friend of mine decided to invite me to a game that he'd been holding with his family and a friend of theirs from a different event that they did, a little LARP thing they like to do. So, anyways, I joined that game playing Pathfinder First Edition, and from there I made a gnome cleric with some really shitty stats. One of the other players saw how bad the stats was and how I tried to compensate it with weapon finesse and how that didn't really work, and helped me make a half-orc cleric that worked a lot better. But we only ended up playing one session of that because the younger kids in the group had gotten in trouble for, I don't even remember. They'd gotten in trouble and they got grounded, but me, my friend, the dude that helped me make the cleric, and my friend's dad decided to start a new game with my friend's dad as the GM. I played a human magus in that one. That character was a lot more fun. But then we had some other players join in, and they caused, let's just say, some trouble. I went through like 4 characters in that game because of it. And we don't play with them anymore because they're not fun to play with, and also they moved away, which helps. Helps cut down on the awkwardness of the situation, yeah. Let's see. After that, I had been watching How to Be a Great GM. I'll put his link down in the doobly-doo. And he had got me into wanting to build my own setting. So I did that. It was a little setting I called Aramore. I made it so that the gods had all died in the setting, and that in this giant war between the most powerful mages in the world, and the gods, the mages won, and the society became a feudal society ran by the mage kings. That game went on pretty well for the first 4 levels, and then I introduced a BBEG that I shouldn't have introduced for another good 3-4 levels, and it ended around level 10, but the last part of the game was a pretty fast rush. But we ended up finishing that major arc of the game, and after that, I decided we needed a break. So anyways, I needed a break from that, and I decided to utilize my current experience with running the game to um, use my experience with currently running the game to try to modify the later plot and work on that. Let's see. After that, I got into live plays, namely a group called Net19. I'll put a link to their channel down in the description. They were super fun to watch. I started watching back when they started doing their Digimon game, I think. It was a homebrew version of 5e, but that's also what got me interested in 5e in the first place. A different friend who had left at a different time had given another friend of mine their 5th edition book. I bought it off that friend. And from there, I started making my big world that I run most of my games in now, foreign, where the dragons are gods, because I thought that was cool. I've had a game in foreign for the better part of 3 years, with some players dropping off, taking breaks intermittently. I think the actual game itself started 4 years, but we've been running it for the better part of 3. Let's see. I've also ran games in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Mutants and Masterminds, World of Darkness, Pathfinder 1st Edition, obviously. Oh, and most recently, Old School Essentials. That has a lot of interesting and fun rules for dungeon crawling and stuff. It's been a super fun experience. I have a personal influence of primarily fantasy novels and sci fi novels that I really liked as a kid. I have a particular love of superhero novelizations as well as the comic books, but the novelizations are a lot of what I read. Um, oh, and as influences on me that will probably affect my opinions on a lot of things. As I've mentioned, Nat 19 has been a big influence. So the GM of that, Logan Laidlaw, he also runs another channel called Project Mouthwash that makes a lot of really good, funny videos. I recommend you watch them. If you see this, I'll put a link to their channel down there. How to be a great GM, already said, down in the doobly-doo. Matt Colville of MCDM has been a particularly large influence as of the last 2 years. And then Brennan Lee Mulligan has also affected a lot of his stuff, both with his advice from Adventuring Academy and with his live play shows. As for the ending of this video, this is basically just going to be, I'm planning to talk about homebrew rules that I use to improve my games. I'm going to be talking about other game systems that I like besides 5th edition and Pathfinder 2nd edition. I'm not suggesting you play them, but I'm recommending you take a look at them because they're fun. I will also probably talk about certain games from a perspective of only having read them, such as 4th edition D&D. That was a good read, and I've stolen a lot of rules from them. And I'll also probably just talk about the goings-on of new content that I think is interesting. Yeah, I think that's everything. Thanks to all of you that have sat through this video. Truly.